for listening to tonight's show. You can connect with Take Two Radio on Twitter at Take Two Radio and at Dawn Take Two Radio. You can also look us up on Facebook at Take Two Radio. Check out our website at TakeTwoRadio.com and follow us on Blog Talk so you can stay up to the minute of each episode as we add it. Each episode is always available for download immediately following each broadcast, and you can also download every podcast on iTunes. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Take Two Radio. I'm Pam, your host, and I have, of course, Dawn. Hello, Dawn.
Hello, Pam.
And I think she's my co-host. Well, I know she's my friend, and I think I've had her on the show a couple times. So, yeah, she's my co-host.
Yeah, a few times now. I don't know, what, about 55, 60 shows? I mean, I've lost count,
I don't know.
So.
I lose track.
I guess after the first 5 or 10, you just, I guess I kind of migrated into that, huh?
Yeah. Well, tonight is going to be a very fun and special show. We have our guest, and that is Meryl Starr. She won her first Telly Award for her how-to webisode, Let's Get Organized with Meryl Starr, and she's an author and a TV host and a professional organizer and everything. Just pick one. Welcome, Meryl.
Yeah.
Hey, girls. This is so great. I am so excited to be here. This is fabulous.
We love it. We love it. We can't wait to talk to you and find out how you get into this business and everything about you.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. So how did you start out being a personal organizer?
It's interesting because I was always, I want to say hello to all your fans out there because you girls have just so many people that are listening. I just want to start out by congratulating the both of you for doing such a fabulous job with the show because, of course, I have been listening.
Oh,
so hello to everybody. Hello to everybody out there. But I've been in business, it'll be 20 years in March, and I was always organized. I always, my room, like when I was in high school, was my closet. My clothes were color-coded. My shoes were lined up. I don't even know, I guess I got this from, my mom, but who even knew that I was going to turn, my obsessiveness into a business. But also, it was funny because when I was growing up, my brothers used to bring, their friends into my room, and they used to say, "This is the museum." I didn't even think anything of it. I just thought, okay, that's the way, everybody's closet looks like that.
Yeah.
But 20 years ago, I was at a friend's house, and we were spending the weekend, and I love to cook, so I decided to do breakfast one morning. And did you ever go into a kitchen and open a cabinet and, the Tupperware falls out or a cereal box falls out?
Mm-hmm.
Right. It totally happens, to everybody all the time. Well, this happened. And then as I was going into each cabinet, it just, seemed like I couldn't find anything. Nothing was in order. So I said to myself, I said, I got to get this together. So I said to my girlfriend, I said, Randy, do you mind if I just organize the kitchen today? And she was really not the organizing type. And she says, what? She says, you want to do that? And I says, yeah, definitely. And she says, you sure? She says, what do I have to do? I said, Randy, just get me some garbage bags and just kind of stay around. Well, I felt like I was a kid in a candy store, and I started going through every single cabinet, every single drawer. She was there with me, so I was able to get rid of the things that were broken, the things that were had rust on them. It took me all day to go through the cabinets and get rid of things. In fact, a neighbor came by and asked her if she was moving. That's how much stuff I got rid of out of that kitchen. It was unbelievable. And it took me all day, and like I said, I was having a great time. I even did the refrigerator. And when her husband came home that night, I said, Stephen, you have to see what I did all day today. And I opened up all the cabinets and the refrigerator and the pantry, and he was like, wow, this is fabulous. He said, you could charge for this. I said, you know what? I'm going to start my own company right then and there. And I said, I'm going to call it Let's Get Organized. That was on March 13th, 1993, so that was 20 years ago.
Wow.
And it's been unbelievable. From there, of course, I sent out a flyer to everybody I knew. Everybody I knew and everybody my mother knew got the flyer. And that's where I got my first client. And it just built from there, and it's been a very, very special journey. I did write the 2 books, the Home Organizing Workbook and the Personal Organizing Workbook, which are just fabulous classics. They're available on Amazon as ebooks, which is really great because you could just put them on your iPads and have them on your computers forever.
Right.
And I've done TV. I did host my own radio show, and the ride has been just fabulous. I'm just looking forward to keeping it going.
Well, I'm sorry, Pam.
No, go ahead, Dawn. Go ahead, Dawn.
So, one of the things that I love when I clean out a closet or a drawer is, and I was telling Pam this just the other day, that I recently did that. I just tore my room apart and just kind of put it all back together again. But I got rid of stuff, and, there's just something about getting organized that it's such a purging, cleansing kind of moment you go through.
Absolutely.
And then afterwards, whereas if you go to a closet, before the fact, you just kind of dread opening it. But then after you're all organized, it's like, hey, look what I did. You feel like you've accomplished this major milestone feat in life.
Absolutely.
But it's a great feeling to know that things are in order. It's something about that order of the universe kind of thing,
Yes. I agree. And even before you even organize, the reason why that happens, Dawn, is that when you open up a drawer or a closet or the front door to your home, if you do not feel a good, positive energy in opening any of those, even if it's a drawer or the linen closet, if it doesn't feel good to you, it means you need to change it. It means that there are things in there that are holding negative energy, and that's all the clutter that we all have. And once you get rid of the clutter and the negative energy, that space feels wonderful.
Definitely.
And in my opinion, whatever space you're in, whether it's your home, your office, or even driving in your car, you should feel fabulous there. You're spending time there. It's your space. So for all of you out there that are not feeling fabulous about the spaces that you are living and working in, it's time to change it.
Well, how about if somebody is overwhelmed like I am with every room in the house that needs to be organized and things gotten rid of and everything? I mean, you start with a drawer like you told me to do. That was my assignment before this interview.
How'd it
go? I did do a couple of drawers, but then I just kind of look around me and think, oh, my God, how am I going to get to all of this? How do you get to that? How do you do that?
Mostly all my clients get overwhelmed. I mean, we all get overwhelmed when we have a big project in front of us. And I always tell my clients, just like I did tell you, Pam, is that you want to start small and you don't want to look at the whole picture. It's too overwhelming.
Right.
Think about it. If all of us looked at our entire lives going forward and what we were going to do and, what we were going to accomplish and where we were going to go and where we were going to visit, we get so overwhelmed we wind up not doing anything.
Right.
So it's important to stay on track and focus on one drawer, one closet, one room, and stay with that one space until you are completely finished with that space.
Yeah, I mean, I started it out, and I think, I got quite a bit of my room done, but then I walk out into the kitchen and I walk out to the living room, and I think to myself, well, I'm doing this, and, it's hard for me with the fibromyalgia because I can't do a lot because then I get a lot of pain and end up in bed. And I think to myself, all the people living in this house, nobody is doing this. Nobody puts things away. Nobody wipes something when they spill it. And then you get to the point of why should I bother? But then you get so upset because you're not doing it. I was never like that before, so it's hard.
The thing also, what I feel is that with families is that everybody needs to have some kind of job. Everybody needs to take responsibility for living in that space. Mm-hmm. It can't just be on one person. Women, we're all, mothers, fathers, we're both working, we're out there, there's activities, and one person in the household really can't be responsible to do everything. It's just too overwhelming and way too much. So it's important to not only have boundaries with our children and our families, but have them participate in keeping the house in order.
Yeah. Yeah, and, go ahead.
I know with my children, when they were younger, they each had their own bedrooms, and the rooms, I had them keep their rooms the way they wanted to. So, of course, there were clothes on the floor and books all over the place, and, the bed wasn't made every morning, and the only thing, of course, that wasn't allowed was you couldn't put wet towels on the floor and no food on the floor. But everything else was, listen, that's your space. You can live the way that you want. However, the rest of the house was mine. So do not leave your sneakers, your cell phone, your book bags, or anything else anywhere else, because it's mine. And that was having strong boundaries, because I was able to keep the house the way I wanted it, and they were able to keep their space the way they wanted it.
Yeah, that is. I'm glad you brought that up, because as you're talking about organization, the whole time I've been sitting here thinking about my daughter's room, which is currently a train wreck. And and I used to, when the kids were much younger, I used to be real anal about, hey, get your room straight. But you raise a really good point, because it's their space. Let them live in it how they will. And I'm kind of like that. I have the boundaries. Now look, wet towels, and make sure you don't leave any food in your room. I mean, we don't need ants moving in too. And but it took me a good while, and kind of evolving into motherhood with having 3 children, to finally just let go of some of those battles, that we tend to pick when they're really small, and just let them be, because. I do tell my daughter, I say, when she asks if she can have a friend over, I'm like, I won't tell her she can't, but I'll say, are you sure you really want your friend to come over and see your room?
Right.
And I just kind of plant a little seed, because, it's her room, and if she wants her room to look that way for her friends, well, then that's just the way it's going to look,
Yes.
But I do agree with you in that when you start, organizing your house, you have to take it room by room or section by section in your room, depending upon how, cluttered it is, because it can be very overwhelming. But what I have found is when I start, like, one room and I get it all in order, then it kind of inspires me and motivates me. It's like, well, this room is great. I've got to move to the next room now. I've got to get this room in order. And then before you know it, your whole house is in order, and it's just, it's kind of like your life. You're kind of compartmentalizing, and you're getting everything in its proper place. And then you you leave, you come home, and it looks great, and it's like, oh, this is great, And I've always preached to my kids and said, look, if you, especially when we've had the massive clean out sessions and the donate to Goodwill sessions, and it's like, now your room looks great if you can just keep it this way. And I don't know why something in their mind doesn't click that they, if it's all got a place now, everything you own has got a place in the room, why can't you just, but we get into fast-paced world, and they just toss and go, and it gets right back to
because they're kids, right, and because they're children.